Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Reki, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer or CEO of Raven Watch Company. And when last we met, I gave you a tour around our offices and a small area of Insilico Southeast where we are located. And I promised that rather than run my graphics on ultra high and let you guys see the super incredible detail that the city has to offer, that for the next video I would reduce my graphics and just take a walk around the city and give you guys an idea of how vast Insilico actually is. So I'm ready and we're starting here at my hotel room, so let me show you around a little bit. I have an apartment in the Skygate Hotel in the penthouse, and this is my bedroom. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on the hotel itself because I'm actually going to do a series on different locations where I do them slowly so you can really see the details. You can see there's some rather dingy wallpaper in here, but you're not getting the full effect of it on this particular graphics level. But I have a bathroom in here, so I have a really nice suite that I rent. And then out here I have a sitting and dining area, and I have a balcony out there. And we're just going to quickly pass out of my home and into the hallway here. And I have some neighbors, and we're going to head over this way to the elevator. And like I said, the hotel is large. It's 4 levels. I live in the penthouse. And at some point in time, I'll take you level by level, and I'll show you the lobby and the spa and how beautiful the hotel actually is. But today, what we're going to do, pardon my having to maneuver the camera around to actually get to things. This is kind of one of those Second Life issues, and sometimes if you're behind a door, you wind up clicking the door instead of the actual thing you're trying to click. So there we go. Now we're on the way down. There's a little bit of a learning curve with both the mechanics of Second Life and how Second Life works, and the mechanics, of course, of the sim, because the HUD that you wear on the sim gives you some other abilities that you won't have, just out in Second Life normal. So once we get down to the lobby, I'm going to show you the catwalk area. There's 3 levels, well, 4 levels to Insilico. There is the sky level where people fly around between the buildings. There's no formal roadways or traffic indicators up there. People just fly from place to place in anti-gravity cars. Then there's a catwalk level, which is where I am, and it's my preferred method of travel because it goes pretty much everywhere. Then there's a street level, and then under that there's an underground level. And so today we're going to take a look at the catwalks. The elevator has dumped us down at the catwalk level, and from here we can go in basically 2 directions. The catwalks can seem a little convoluted at first. If you think of Insilico as a 4-quadrant square, you'll have a little bit of an easier time getting along. So right now we are in southeast, basically above where we took our small tour of the office the other day. And from here we can go up or we can go down. I'm going to back out a little bit, and I'm going to start increasing my draw distance. I hate doing it because it's going to slow me down a little bit, but you really kind of need to see the other buildings and things around us. There we go. That'll help. That's probably enough. So we got some rain coming in, but you can see now I've filled in the buildings immediately around me, giving you a little bit more scope. It doesn't look so empty and open anymore. So I can go up, and if I go up, this is all still catwalk levels, but the catwalk has various different levels too. And as you can see, the catwalks all lead to different locations. So what I've done is I've gone up one level, and I'm going to head this way and hope that I don't bump into the railing. I use my WAS and D keys to navigate around, and I use my mouse to move the camera. Alright, so now we're on what I like to think of as the upper level of the catwalks. And there's the hotel back there. See the red carpet? That's the hotel elevator over there. Over here to the left, on this platform where I'm rubbing with my mouse, there's usually a diner that flies around the city, and at the moment it is in for maintenance, so it is not at this location, and it moves. And then here we have a lift, and if I were to take this lift down to street level, we would be standing at the bottom of the location I stopped the last video at. So just for reference, so you can get sorted in your head, I'll call the lift really quickly and I'll take you guys down there. But then we're going to come right back up, because this is not a street tour, this is a catwalk tour. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to walk in a big square from the hotel around some various different locations. And I'm going to show you the kinds of things that you can do and places that you can go from catwalk level. We're just going to wander, basically. Alright, so here's the lift. We're going to head down. And if you ever come to Insilico, be careful to pay attention to whether or not the lift is actually present. If there are two sets of arrows, then you've got a lift there that goes down. If there's only one, that's the arrow that's on the scaffolding itself, and you do not want to step into the lift area because you will fall into empty space. But as you can see, I'm looking around as I'm going down. That's an actual road there that cars can travel on. And we have now hit street level. And this is where I stopped the video after our tour of the offices. So let me adjust my camera a little bit. That down there is the construction area that we could see. I stopped right in front of the elevator. And if I walk down this way for a second, it's raining today all over. Sometimes the rain hits the catwalks but doesn't hit street level, but apparently the rain is heavy enough to be hitting street level today. Alright, so if I come down to this corner here and I turn, which I'm going to stop and do right here, I will adjust my camera a little bit, and I think from here you should be able to see the bootable. Well, maybe not. Maybe I have to get closer. But the bootable is down that way, and our offices are across the street from it. I think my draw distance is too short for you to actually see it. So let's go back up. I want to go back up, and I want to show you guys the catwalks. I want to wander around and show you some of the features up there. There's a lot up in that area. There's a lot down here at street level. And as you can see, we have a lot of grunge and a lot of debris. This is more like the slums area of Insilico. So there's higher crime down in this area. We have warehouses. We have some questionable services down here. I guess that means that Raven Watch is a questionable service as well, but we're not going to talk about that yet. I'm not here to talk about business. I'm here to give you guys a tour. But I'll keep moving the camera, or moving myself, so that you can see from my vantage point the different things. I mean, this is one of my favorite things about riding or running around the catwalks, is sometimes your shortcuts are down at street level, so I go up and down a great deal when I'm just traveling for myself. And I get to see a lot of these interesting vistas of different buildings and different signage and stuff. And remember, my draw distance is not as big as it normally would be. So this blue area out here that looks like empty sky actually has more city in it. We're just not seeing it at the moment. Alright, so off the lift we go. And we can go in either direction. And I'm going to head to the left. But right here we have a nifty little seat. seating area. Sorry, apparently I can't talk today. I have mush mouth or something. And if we go this way, we're going to be walking through Insilico's equivalent of Metro. The Metro has any of these orange stations like this are typically Metro stations or seating areas like the one behind us. And if I walk over here, you can see this is prepared for the Metro to come through. There's actually a rail. And if we were to wait, eventually the Metro would get here. And if we're lucky and we walk around the city, we might actually spot it on its rounds. So I'm not going to actually sit here and wait. But this is the East Metro station. It serves Southeast and Northeast. And we're heading out of Southeast to Northeast now. And this is part of the square. The lift is what I like to think of as one point of the square. And we're just going to keep heading down this way. Now, at the other end of the square, or the rectangle, I guess, is going to be the bar. But we're going to stop. This is midway between the points of one side of the rectangle. And we're going to head down here because this is one of Insilico's few parks. There aren't many of them because plants are scarce. And we're going to head down these steps into the park area. And this is one of my favorite parks. This is floating up in the air. So yes, you can fall off this platform if you're not careful. There's a little seating area. This is what's known as an orrery, which is like a little planetarium. So if you look up, you can see basically the equivalent of a celestial clock going up here. I just love this. I will come, I'll bring lawn chairs, I'll sit here, friends and I will picnic here. We have a great time. Also over here, there is a car platform, so you can drive your car up here and land. And I think there's also an elevator somewhere. Although I wouldn't take it. Oh, here's a car rental spot. So if you use this, you can call a car. So you can then fly anywhere in Insilico. I thought there used to be an elevator here, but they may have taken it out. Alright, so we're going to head back up. And we're going to continue down one side of the rectangle to the next point. And the next point is the bar called Fusion. And Raven Watch Company nobody owns anything in Insilico. Basically, Aegis, the city's corporate overlords, own everything. So when you run a business, you more or less don't own your building or anything of that nature. You own the business, but you don't own the building or the location. And you're considered to be corporate assets, and anything that you own is considered to be a corporate asset. There's a whole legal background on Aegis, which is quite interesting. But if you know anything about cyberpunk is a dystopian future where corporations rule everything and money has become the main currency, or it's obviously currency, but it's the most important thing. So this is the back of Fusion, which is the bar that Raven Watch controls, I guess is a better way of putting it. So a lot of times we'll find mercenaries hanging out here. It's a rather high-end bar in Northeast, which is one of the wealthier areas of the city, so we were very lucky to get it. My people tend to work here tending bar, and then we have events. We used to have them every weekend. We're not having them quite as much anymore because over the summer things have slowed down. Attached to the building, we have another lift. And as you can see, there's only one arrow. So this is the lift platform, and the lift actually comes here. So we'll just go up really quickly so I can show you the upstairs of this particular building, because this open air bar and dance floor has an exit over in that direction that leads to some townhouses, and it has an exit out behind this panel over where you see that rounded glass, that leads to an elevator that goes to street level. And we're not going to go down there right now. But right now what we're going to do is we're going to head up. And I'm going to show you the roof of this building. And again, you've got stunning views. So if you can really set your draw distance high when you're on the elevators, you really get to see the city in ways that you can't imagine. And again, realize that a lot of what you're seeing is not filled in for me because my draw distance is not high enough. But see how I pulled my draw distance and suddenly some buildings appeared? And if I leave my draw distance, oops, if I leave my draw distance up like this, let's put it around 400 meters. It'll take me a lot longer to load. See, my frame rate is dropping because I'm loading in more data. But it's stunning for photographs because you really can get more buildings and things in. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love it here. And you can even see the rain and the atmospheric effects and things like that. I'm going to turn it back off though because as you can see, I started to lag quite a bit. My internet has not been the greatest lately, so I've been having to reduce down a lot. Spectrum has been doing something weird with our internet service, trying to upgrade us. And so, of course, they're throttling all of their services, so we upgrade to the highest level of service. But this is the top of the Fusion building. And Fusion, again, is the bar. And over in this direction, we have a helipad, so people can actually land helicopters and small aircraft, shuttles, that sort of thing. And then down this way is where the Bounty.net office is located. And we're not going to go in there at the moment because nobody is here to introduce you to. We'll do that as part of our walking tour. But Bounty.net is the legal organization that handles legal bounty hunts. And in Insilico, if somebody wrongs you, there's not really a legal system per se. Aegis has its own legal system, and it's entirely for the benefit of Aegis. You can complain to Aegis about things, but unless you're a registered citizen, you're not going to get any assistance at all. And even registered citizens only get a minimal amount of assistance. It is sanctioned for you to basically take care of yourself. As long as you are not doing anything that goes contrary to the interests of Aegis, you can pretty much protect yourself, carry small weaponry, protect your buildings. You can take retribution on people. You can put bounties out on people. Aegis doesn't really care. They have a very big non-involvement policy. All right, so as I said, you can go out this way to the back of Fusion. And if we go this way to the left, which you can see there's a door down here, this leads to some very high-end, high-rise apartments. And then going this way, there's a stairwell. And this leads us down to some rather interesting areas. And the city changes. So the last time I was down this way, we could go this way and there was a seating area on one of these catwalks. So I've gone left from the stairwell. I'm going to go left again. And there used to be a little, not a park, but a little seating area down here. Oh, and it's still here. Sometimes these things change. You know, this could have been an office building now. It depends on people coming and going in the city. The city is definitely alive. And when you're here, you should also imagine that you're surrounded by people, because this city has hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people living in it. So it's not out of the realms of belief to imagine that people are sitting on the benches or gathered under the trees or looking out the windows or waiting for an appointment or coming to get a drink. There are lots and lots of ways to make your experience in Insilico more imaginative and more fun. And this is obviously an office. We're not going to go in here right now. So on one end we have the park, and on another end we have the office. And if we go back, we're back to the left of Fusion. Oh, and it looks like there's Nori. Hang on just a second and let me see if she minds being in our video. And we're back after a brief role-playing detour. That was Nuri. She's one of our regular residents and the head mechanic here in Insilico. Her business is the Fixorama, and it's located in Insilico Northwest, right down the street from Terra Firma and Aegis. So if you happen to be in that area, make sure to stop by and say hello to her. I will always be doing these tours from a role player's perspective rather than from a photographer or a videographer's perspective. So you might see other role players in the videos, but you typically will not see actual role playing going on or actual messaging going on unless I have already cleared their participation with them. And in this case, I wasn't really expecting to bump into anyone, so I hadn't talked to Nuri in advance about whether it was okay to catch her on film while role-playing. A lot of times people don't mind if they get caught on film, but it's polite, I feel, to ask them in advance. So let's continue the tour. There's not much else down in this direction. Again, we're still walking around the catwalk near Fusion, which is the lower corner of the rectangle that I was talking about. This area just leads to an elevator, which is, as you can see by the double arrow and the fact that there's a gray base, this is actually a lift that is here, and this lift takes you down to the northwest quadrant of Insilico, where at street level we have things like businesses and the Reactor, which is the strip club in the area, as well as various other bars and role-playing locations in Northwest. The market and the arena are in Northwest as well. So we're going to head back, and we're going to go back up the steps because the steps lead back to Fusion again. And we are back in the corner of the rectangle. So we went straight down the side of the rectangle from the Skygate Hotel past the park and into the bar, and then we passed the bar and moved into Fusion. And now what we're going to do is we're going to head down these steps, and we're going to head towards Northwest. And Northwest is the other corner of the rectangle. Now, in the middle of this side of the rectangle, there is another catwalk here. And if we head towards that direction along this catwalk, there are stairs, and the stairs leading up lead back to the Skygate Hotel. So that was when we went up the steps and went left, we were actually on this catwalk in front of us heading in the other direction. So we're going to head this way. And you may have noticed that there were a couple of people off to the right as I walked around Fusion, and those were clearly tourists because wings and other animal parts are not permitted on Insilico as a role player. You're welcome to come and wear whatever you want as a tourist, but there are rules for role players here, and the big one for role playing is that you have to fit into the original CyberPunk lore, and the closest example of CyberPunk lore that I can cite is probably all of William Gibson's stuff. The reason I bring up William Gibson is because he's the one who wrote several of the original stories, including things like, Neuromancer, which the movie Johnny Mnemonic was based from, and I'm sure there have been other adaptations over the years. So we're just going to continue around on the catwalks here and head up these steps. And this will give us a really nice view of the city over in this direction. This is another metro stop. As you can see, it's got a little green area, and if I look out this way, you can see several buildings. Let me increase my draw distance again so so we can fill in some of this scenery for you guys. And now you can see this entire area here. So there's a building with the Aegis sign over there. This building with the holographic tree in front of us is the greenhouse. The pagoda building over there in the red, that's Reactor, the strip club. And down below us is around the greenhouse, all the way down is the marketplace. And what I would normally do, let me put my graphics back so I can actually see. I've gotten slow because now we're running into the evening, and the internet over here is beginning to affect, we have so many people here on the same cable internet system that it affects my ability to do things around the dinner hour, which is why a lot of times around the Eastern Standard Time dinner hour you won't find me here, or if I'm here I'm usually sitting in one location instead of moving around. You'll often find me at either Fusion, the Raven Watch offices, or my hotel room. Usually there's an elevator here, and you can see this arrow in this area right here. No lift, so no double arrow because there's no lift. It's all the way down at the bottom. I'd have to press the arrow to bring it up, and usually I would take this all the way down to the bottom, and then I would walk around the marketplace, but that's street level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue the walking tour up here, and when we do street level I'll probably come up and down the elevator so you have a point of reference from this. But if we continue on, the catwalks continue through the metro. And again, the monorail is not here. I guess a monorail is a better term for it, not a metro, because it's not underground. A monorail is up in the sky, which is what this is. I'm just going to head this way. And now we're heading out of CyberPunk Northwest, or out of Insilico Northwest, excuse me. And we're just going to head down the steps here. I'm going to try to zoom in a bit more above my shoulders so I can see where I'm going. Because one of the things you want to be careful of is you can fall off of any of these catwalks. And while the fall obviously doesn't destroy your character in any way, it can effectively reduce your hit points or your shields on the HUD. And then if you are caught in an actual role-playing fight, your statistics on the HUD will not represent what's actually available to you. Furthermore, it's inconvenient to be on the catwalks and fall all the way down, and in some spaces you can even fall all the way down to Terra because Earth is somewhere under Insilico City. Insilico City is actually in the sky floating above Earth, thousands of feet up. So you can fall to Earth, which is basically a burnt out husk, and it's not pretty because then you have to teleport out of there. But it's interesting. It's an interesting location to go have a look at if you haven't had the chance. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to head down this next set of stairs. Oh. I'm experiencing a little bit of lag because it's that time of the day. A lot of people are home from work and are on the internet, and we've been having some internet issues in my area, so pardon me if everything's a bit laggy. I may have to play around and find the best time to do these videos. And we're just going to continue this way. And as you can see, since my draw distance is short, as we're approaching things are coming more fully into focus. And we're still within CyberPunk Northwest. We're actually bounding it from the other side. So if I look from this direction, up here in the upper right hand corner where this orange spot is the metro. We just walked down from there. This is the holographic Head and Shoulders that we were standing above when we were looking over by the elevator. This is Reactor over here. The holographic tree again is on top of the greenhouse. And we have what are business buildings here. And straight down, it's hard to see, but underneath Reactor at this floor level, you can see there's, let me see if I can zoom just a tiny bit so you can see the sign a little bit better. There's Graves. We do have several CyberPunk stores on the ground level in Northwest. I believe Soul is there and Shumesh and a couple of others. So if you're interested in shopping, we have shopping locations as well as role-playing locations. Although again, if you're here as a tourist or you're here to shop, please keep in mind people are here to role-play. And if you see people out on the street or wandering around, be polite. Don't try not to get in the way of what they're doing or cause any trouble. Everybody appreciates that. All right, we're going to come around to the left now. And as we come around this way, I believe we're going to be leaving Southwest and heading towards Northwest. And in the Northwest, on the ground floor, we have things like the hotel, which is this gigantic blue building, and on the ground we have Aegis, we have INN, which is the newspaper, we have Terra Firma, which is a coffee house, we have IPS, which is Insilico Private Security, which is basically Insilico's police force, and we have Nuri's Fixorama, which is our repair shop. And over in this direction are office buildings and departments. And as you come around this way, we're going to have to cut up because we will be cutting up and across Aegis headquarters. Aegis headquarters has 2 levels. On the ground floor, street level, is Aegis Medical Center. And on the top is Aegis headquarters, where their office building and their officers, their high-end personnel, are working. And we're just gonna go up this way. Up, 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 and up. And if I'm not mistaken, we'll have to take a turn up here. Yes. So now, if I were to go back over this other side and down here, there's a catwalk in front of the green sign that goes around. You can see it down here below me. And the other side of this has apartment buildings. This is the hotel that I was just showing you, the blue hotel. There's apartment buildings on the other side of this, and on the ground floor, it's a hotel. And if we go up, we're going to go up and over past Aegis headquarters. And I believe we might need to go up a couple of different flights of stairs. Let me see here. Yes, okay. So if we were to go straight from here, we would head back over towards where Fusion and the Skygate Hotel are. So we've sort of come around in a big circle. We would be heading back towards southeast and northeast. And what I'm going to do really quick is go up so I can show you what the top of Aegis Tower looks like. And then I'll try to reset my draw distance and let you get an idea of what the city looks like from way above, because it's really spectacular. If assuming that the internet lag isn't going to kill me. Unfortunately, that's an issue in my area and not an issue with the sim itself. I went for the better part of a year and didn't have any issues at all, and then starting in a couple of months ago, they started changing our infrastructure at Spectrum and trying to push everybody to upgrade by making the lower tier ineffective again. You know, planned obsolescence. So that's kind of where we're at. And this is the top of Aegis Tower. And they have their own transports up here. The tower itself is a very large building with several floors. And it's on top of the, here we go. It's on top of the medical center. As I said, the medical center is on the ground floor. If you look down that way where it says Redux, that's another part of the Aegis infrastructure and facility, one floor down. Let me see if I can get my draw distance to give you guys a really good look of the city from this height, because this is a brilliant spot to get a look at. I might have to zoom in and out a bit to get stuff to actually draw in, but this is me zooming out, and you can see that where my mouse is right in here is the transport, and this little tiny black spot is me standing in front of it. And you can really get a sense of how big Insilico is by just looking at how small I am. And I apologize for how slow this is moving, but I'm trying to just pan around so you can get a view of the city from this level, with all of the advertisements and the holograms and the flashing digitals. And of course, like I said, I'm not on super ultra high graphics like I was the last time I did this, so you're unfortunately not going to get to see super graphics the way you did on my last little mini tour. But for these walkthroughs of the city, I am not going to run on really high graphics because it's just too difficult to get the scope of the city and see all of the textures at the same time. However, what I'm going to do in later tutorials or later walkthroughs is I'm going to try to hit each building in Insilico and give you a little tour with the graphics way up. So you'll get a chance to see not only Raven Watch, but you'll get a chance to see the reactor, and you'll get a chance to see Fusion. Excuse me, and you'll get a chance to see Aegis, the medical center, and the tower, and you'll get a chance to see the Fixorama and the different bars around the city and the different city hotspots. So every location in the city is available for roleplay. Every street area is considered public. If you are out on the street and you are role-playing, then your role play is considered public and anybody can come up. So, for example, if you are in Terra Firma, which is the coffee shop, and it's a public venue, then anybody can come in and start role playing with you in the coffee shop. If you are in, for example, Raven Watch has a public floor, but it also has several private areas behind doors. And if you're in a public area, then you're free to role play with anybody standing around. You don't need to ask. However, if you're trying to reach somebody who you suspect is in a private area behind a closed door, then you need to instant message them and ask if they're available to role play. For example, if you're coming to Raven Watch to see Reki and you're downstairs, you could talk to the receptionist or anybody milling around downstairs and ask if Reki is available, and then they would send you up to Reki's office and she would be in there, and you could role play through getting in that way. Or you could instant message Reki directly and ask if she's available and make arrangements to role play like that. But you want to keep in mind that, like, for example, if I bump into somebody up here, this is public. Any of the walkthroughs are public, just like when I bumped into Nuri a few minutes ago. And if I were to walk into Aegis headquarters, the bottom floor is public, but I would need to be invited up. Or if I were to go into someone's apartment building, I wouldn't be allowed to go in unless they invited me in. All apartment buildings have locked doors, and the owner is the only one who can go in without permission unless they put somebody on door access. So if a door is locked to you and it gives you an error message, then you don't want to go in. You want to role play through. Knock on the door, see if someone is available. It's as simple as that. Everything that you do on here, you should consider yourself as part of a movie. Just do what you would do if you were in a movie. So if I'm walking around and I'm going to bump into somebody, then I'm going to say hello. And if I happen to be outside a building and I've never been in that building before, I might hesitate and ask if the building is public, or ask if the business is open, or ask if I'm, knock on the door and see if I'm permitted to go into the person's domicile. So we've now headed down from the Aegis Tower. I came down these steps here, and I'll be heading down, and here's another metro station. And hopefully I won't fall off these stairs. That would be inconvenient in the middle of our tour. And I love how the builders have gone through and added all these details. So you can see there's a digital readout over here. There's graffiti art. There's sitting areas. There's little pockets of greenery or synthetic greenery. And everything has a mixture of grungy and old and high-tech and new, and it's just incredible. So if I step down this way, which we're not going to go all the way down, this is another elevator. And this elevator leads you to street level in Southwest. And Southwest is where Aegis and INN and the Fixerama and IPS and Terra Firma are all located. And instead, there's no other way across from here. You would have to go down and cut through Southwest to get anywhere else. So we're going to go back and we're going to backtrack, because this is a walking tour of the catwalks. And that unfortunately means that we have to kind of go back up and around. But again, if the metro or the monorail were here, then we could hop on the monorail and actually take it around to any one of these stations. Sometimes the monorail gets jammed. Sometimes tourists like to come along and they like to take photographs on it, and they do something to cause the monorail to stop, and it'll get stuck. Or sometimes it'll get stuck on a sim crossing because of Second Life loading issues, in which case then you won't find the monorail at one of the stations, unfortunately. You just kind of have to see if you can find it floating around. And I think if you click it, supposedly, it starts back up again. But riding it is really a treat if you get a chance to do it. I've done it a couple of times, and it's a little difficult to determine which station is which just by sight, because they all have a similar look. And, there's not really a sign on the side of the building or anything that tells you this is the Northwest station, this is the Northeast station. But it's really fun to ride around and look at the city and get a view of everything that's available to you. So I'm going to cut back across headquarters here past this transport vehicle that they have for their security personnel. And I'm going to cut back down, again, hopefully without falling. You'll notice as I'm walking up, rails are loading in. And if I were to keep walking before the rail loaded in, I would probably fall, which would not make me happy. And probably wouldn't help you guys much either. Alright, I need to zoom in a little bit more so I can see the steps. Ah, there we go. And we're going to go down another level. And you'll find kiosks and things around the city. Some of them are just for show. Some of them actually do things. We have ATMs around the city that actually allow you to transfer money to and from characters. And we have different kiosks that are for different events, or kiosks that give out information for how to level your character or how to get further information about things. So we came from there, I believe, or did we come from this way? Let's look. We came from this way because the green sign is down this way. So we're going to continue going this way. And this is going to lead us over to Southwest, or through Southwest, back towards Fusion and various other things. And as you can see, there are a lot of catwalks. Catwalks up here can lead to all different kinds of things. So that one actually probably leads to apartment buildings, and I think there's a pool. Does that one lead us to the pool? Let's go have a look. I'll show you if this one leads us to the pool. Yes, the pool's over there. So we're going to go down this tunnel here. We do have a rooftop pool, which is a lovely spot if you get a chance to visit it or have a role-playing day. Another lovely spot for a role-playing day is the greenhouse. Another great location is the spa in the Skygate, although you have to pay to have a spa day at the Skygate. But I did that just recently for myself and 3 of my friends, so I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that that was an excellent, excellent day and a fun role play. So this is the pool. It's an infinity pool. It tips over the edge. And there's places to, sit and float in the pool. And this catwalk over here leads back over towards Reactor and the monorail station in that direction. So I could have come that way and gone around in a loop the other way. Almost all of these catwalks go in a circle. So you can get to someplace. Most of these catwalks you can get to locations multiple ways. It's just a matter of allowing yourself to get lost and then following around, trying to figure out, well, okay, here's the pool. Oh, and look, I just got to the pool from this way again. Okay, so this set of catwalks must be a loop. So we're going to head back up. I just wanted to detour and show you the pool for a second. And we're going to head back to the left. We came from up here. This stairwell leads back over towards Aegis Tower. And we're going to continue this way. And I always use this billboard as a landmark. I used to live over by the hotel we just left over by Aegis. And walking these catwalks became very familiar to me when I was living over there. Because there's, unless you fly, there's really no way to street level from those apartments. You have to walk the catwalks until you get to an escalator. Or, excuse me, a lift. So, over here, there's a really lovely dragon. And there's some sitting areas down there that sometimes have garden stuff, sometimes have chairs. It just depends on what's going on. Like I said, the city will change. So if someone is living in one of these apartments and they'd like a little sitting area nearby and they talk to city services will sometimes pull down an old newsstand or, reclaim a building that a business is no longer using and turn it into an outdoor area. And then when people move on, those outdoor areas can be demolished to make way for other businesses. So the city really is affected by what you do as a player. And the city changes frequently enough to really feel alive. And here we are at another seating area. This is not the same one I showed you before because as you can see over here, we have a sky gondola. So this is definitely not the same area. We are coming around down another side of the rectangle. And if we were to go over to the right, there's apartment buildings that way. And I can show you what the outside of them look like. At least these. They all look a little bit different. As you noticed when I came out of my apartment, which was actually in a hotel, I walked out into a hallway in a hotel. These are standalone apartments, and so if you walk down this way, some of them actually have rooftop gardens. Some of them have landing pads. It really just depends on who is renting them. And sometimes they're closed in too. So there used to be several back here, and now it looks like there might not be as many. Now it looks like there might only be 1 or 2. But here's an apartment. So here's what the door looks like to an apartment. It has a shingle above it. It has a doorway. And if I walk close to this doorway and I zoom in like this, you will see who owns this apartment. And if there's a name, then someone lives here. So you don't want to go entering and looking around without permission. You don't want to go moving stuff around. You don't want to go using someone's bed. All of that's considered extremely rude and can get you banned. But this is what an apartment looks like from the outside. Sorry, Oriana, if you're watching this. I borrowed your apartment for a second to use as an example. There are apartments that are available, and the doors usually don't have names on them, or they'll say touch for information or whatever. There are rentals available here in Insilico, but only if you roleplay. They are not available as general rentals. You have to be a role player on site, and you have to, when you role play, just being on site will earn you credits. And rent here is paid in credits, which are the Insilico. They're the Insilico medium of cash, and you pay weekly, and you can pay up to 5 weeks in advance. So now this lift, I'm not entirely sure where this one goes to. I want to say it goes down. It goes into Southeast. I'm just not 100% sure where it goes into Southeast. So maybe on our next trip, I'll take you guys down there and we'll discover it together. Because, as I said, this city is vast and it changes. So sometimes things appear and disappear, or you miss things. I mean, I'm constantly on street level, and I look at something and I say to a moderator or a friend, has that been there right along? And they'll laugh at me because I'll have missed it entirely, and it's been there for 6 months or 3 months or something. So, all right, so we're coming back around the corner here, and now this lift is where we started, because there across here is the Skygate Hotel, and down here is the monorail heading across to Fusion, and this is the seating area that I showed you. So we're just gonna walk right back down here towards the hotel, and then we're gonna end our little walking tour. And I hope that you enjoyed your time on the catwalks with me. I hope that I didn't confuse you too much. I will probably try to put up a little graph and link to it in the comments, just so that if you are completely lost, you kind of have an overview of where things are. I can't guarantee I'll get everything that I showed you actually on the map, but if you can formulate a map of the ground in your head, and you know based on this whether you're in Southeast, and you have a couple of landmarks up here on the catwalks, for example, the monorail or the hotel or Aegis headquarters, then you can usually triangulate and get yourself to any other location in Insilico, given enough time and practice. And I hope that you will do so. I hope that you'll become a tourist here, or even more so that you'll come and role play, because role playing is a really wonderful experience, and it's like living a second life inside your second life. And I hope to see you guys soon. Please take care. Bye bye.